Welcome to the VetPractice Playbook, brought to you by VetPractice Pro, where we talk all things veterinary leadership, management, clinic ownership, and more. I'm Dr. Emily King, and I'm joined by Caleb Biddles and Richie King today for another episode of the Playbook. Okay. Today, guys, we are going to discuss, do clients really value what we think they value? Why are you laughing?
I'm just going to go, no.
You're going to say no right off the bat, right?
I'm kidding, of course.
Because I think that there can be a discrepancy between what we think they value, or I guess when there is a discrepancy between what we think they value and what they actually value, then there's resistance.
Right.
And it comes across a certain way, like they don't want to follow through on our recommendations or whatnot. And so what do you guys think? Do you think that for the most part, we understand what clients value? Are there things possibly that we forget about that may be of higher value than what I think everybody would assume, which is medicine and really good medicine?
I think people pay for solutions. And I think that everybody's different. And I think it's really hard to lump everybody into the same basket, because I think you have 100 different people, you have 100 different baskets, what they value, what they're willing to pay for. I think generally speaking, people want a problem solved. So if you go in and your dog is itchy, you want to leave with your dog not itchy or something like that. I mean, so in that respect, I think that people are paying primarily for solutions. And then it's just a question of, how much do they value those solutions or those recommendations, and kind of go from there. I mean, some people are like, I don't care what it costs, do what you have to do. And other people are much more price sensitive. So it's kind of that, that managing in between.
Yeah, I think that I think the first hurdle is getting someone to accept your recommendation. And then once you get them to accept the recommendation, and then if you can solve the problem the first go around, you're likely to have them as a repeat customer.
Right.
And they're likely to trust you moving forward significantly. So the question is, like, how do you get them to trust you right off the bat? When they may, and I think the point really is, don't necessarily assume that everybody values what you do as a veterinarian. Right? Which is things like clinical excellence and thorough diagnostics and gold standard care and advanced technology. That may not be the button that everybody is getting hit when you know what I mean? Like, as a client, yeah, that might be important, but they have 7 kids and 2 of their kids just got on the bus and the other 5 are in the exam room, and they're going to stab their eyes out if they're in there for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they would much rather have a 10-minute appointment than have a 45-minute thorough whatever. And so you need to be able to recognize those things in order to get them to follow through the first go around. And then once you fix their problem, now you've got buy-in, and you're going to have additional follow through on the next appointment, the next appointment.
I think that has to do kind of the value proposition that goes with every transaction. I mean, whatever you pay, if you're satisfied when you leave, is I received more value than the cost of that value. So if you buy something for $5, but you got $6 worth of value, well, then it's a positive. It's a win-win. Yeah. And I think that's where you run into trouble sometimes, is that you talk about time. If you go to a place and you've got a 4 o'clock appointment and it's 4:55 and you're still in the waiting room, you're like, okay, what are we doing?
Right.
The value just is sliding down very quickly. And I think that's where I would have been totally satisfied if I'm in the exam room at 4:01 and I'm out of there at 4:20 or whatever, but now, and I think that's operationally where you have to be careful, because you could offer the best product. I may be willing to pay for that product. I'm like, this is awesome. But if you make me wait in an inappropriate period of time, that value starts to slide. And then all of a sudden it's not worth what I would have otherwise paid for it.
Right.
I think that we had that saying at the clinic where 3 minutes feels like 15.
Yep.
And timely was one of our core values, or is one of our core values. So, it was very important to us that the clients were seen on time. They were checked out on time. Like if they had a 20-minute appointment, a 40-minute, whatever it was, they were in and out within that time period. That's how important.
And if they weren't, we had to go in constantly and update them.
Right.
And that helps so much.
Yeah.
Communication is so big.
Well, and that provides confidence in the provider.
Right.
Right.
And that's also how you build the reviews that people are looking at and your reputation then, and how people, so how people talk about you, again, which is all goes towards allowing follow through the very first appointment.
And I think communication is so huge, because I've had situations where I've called and they're like, we're booked, but I talked to the doctor, we're going to squeeze you in at 3:15.
Right.
And they come in there and go, okay, it may take a little longer because we're kind of squeezing you, but we're going to get to you as soon as we can. That's fine. You accommodated me already. I know it's going to take longer than I would have otherwise expected.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's so huge, because so often they'll just throw you some. I mean, I've had cases or consumer experiences where that's not the case, and it erodes the value a lot.
Yeah, so. I mean, when they're waiting like that, it is, you're talking about like a downward slope. When if they're waiting too long and you're at the bottom of that hill, it's like pushing a sled up the hill to get them back to square one of trusting you and listening to you and giving you their full attention,
or coming back.
Or coming back.
People don't understand is there are other people that could take care of the same thing that you do, and if you give them that opening to do it better, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful that you don't do that. I mean, that's any consumer experience. It's not just veterinarians.
Well, everyone, time is so valuable. Like, they're sitting there, especially if they have kids in the room, they're like, just get me out of here.
Get me out of here.
I don't care what it costs. I gotta go.
We all have appointments all day long. And so
and there's the distinction between the expectation and what actually happens.
Mm-hmm.
If I expect that if I've got an appointment at 4:00, then I'll be within the exam room within a reasonable period of time. So, I mean, I think it's really important. That's operational. It's much more operational. But
so when clients, act surprised due to cost, or act like cost is the factor that's keeping them from moving forward, what do you think are some other things that they could be thinking about, like that really isn't pertaining to cost? Because I think that potentially having predictable, conversations or systems to allow them to know, to not be surprised. Like, that's why we were so adamant about treatment plans and everybody knowing, like, it is not good if it's a surprise.
No, like, nobody should be surprised about anything. We had treatment plans for everything. I think it was like, we set a rule of like $300 or more, everyone got a treatment plan. But I would say some clients seem to be under that. But there's no surprise. And if they can't afford it financially, that's fine. Let's go to step B and their treatment plan B. And that's fine. But we're going to offer the highest standard of care. And if money is a concern, then there's other options.
And I think people are willing to listen to that if you are transparent about it. Nobody likes that like bait and switch thing. Nobody likes uncertainty.
Or if the technician's making them feel bad because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
You hear that a lot. I've never experienced that. I don't know what that would even look like.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I learned early in my career was to try and tell people all the things that potentially could happen. Like, so the uncertainty, so you minimize the amount of uncertainty so that if something did happen, then it's like, oh yeah, she said that.
Yeah.
So like, I remember the first time it dawned on me to do that was with a corneal ulcer. And I did not forewarn the person that, hey, listen, if this doesn't resolve, this could potentially happen. And then you're in this boat and then this is what you got to do. And so I remember after that experience and then being like, well, if I just would have known, I wouldn't have panicked. And it's like, all right, good point.
Right.
You know what? I'm just going to tell everybody, like, I'm going to forewarn, like, hey, listen, if your dog doesn't stop vomiting, this is our next steps, or if it doesn't respond to this medication, and we see this, or if you see this at home, it's you know what I mean? Like, kind of just like eliminating some of the uncertainty, which then also I think creates trust and buy-in.
That's building trust because they're like, oh, okay, she told me this may happen. And if it does, this is the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the greatest things that I think I've experienced is a completely different industry. Everything. But we go to the mechanic and they'll say, look, you can do this, but this will probably wait another 10,000 miles. I mean, I think that goes a long way to helping them understand that they could have pushed this, but you're like, you can wait to do this here. And just kind of forming those relationships, like you guys say, building that trust. So that when you do recommend it, you're like, you really should do this. You're like, okay, I probably should do this.
Well, I think too, just even with the treatment plans, like, think of an annual wellness one. If it's a 2-year-old healthy pet and they can't afford the annual blood work, okay, let's skip the annual blood work to be able to pay for heartworm prevention.
allocating funds.
Yeah. And so I think that too builds trust of like, okay, they're not just forcing me to do all this because they're so money hungry. They want my money.
Right.
It's helping them make the priority of what's best for their pet.
Yeah. That spectrum of care.
And people do see through that.
Yeah.
They do see. I mean, that perception, whether it's intentional or not, I do think that it's. I could see how that perception could be formed pretty easily.
I think also probably another factor, especially with the generation that's becoming the largest pet owner generation, is convenience.
Yeah,
is a major driver of. Don't you guys think?
Yeah.
Oh, I think. Yeah, I think. I've always said, don't make it difficult to transact. Don't make it so hard that. I had a consumer experience last night. I went to a website. I've already bought products from this website, and I go again and they change it. I'm like, I don't know how to buy your stuff. I want to give you my money,
right?
But yet
Stop
I don't know how to do anything.
Making it hard for me to give you your
So
money.
it's kind of like, it's that kind of thing. So make sure that process is operationally efficient and you can save people time in that regard.
I think even too, just thinking about how you schedule appointments.
Yep.
Is it difficult for them?
Right.
Like, do you not ever answer the phone? Do you not have an electronic way for them to schedule?
Yeah,
like
online booking, like you do.
Right.
Not,
again,
yeah.
I'm going to call you, like probably on my lunch break in the middle of a busy day. Like, I want you to pick up the phone and I want to schedule an appointment in 2 minutes.
There's a bunch of data that's been done because of now all the AI and online booking that's available in this generation. Harrison, what generation are you? Gen Z. The Gen Z generation wanting to do everything like after hours. Like, so they want to be able to just go on there and book their appointment. They want to be able to leave a message, this or that or whatever, request their prescriptions. They want to be able to look at reviews, because that's how they're deciding, right? How many times have we heard, in our kids, in this generation, I'm going to look at the Amazon reviews. There's 1,000 Amazon reviews that have 4.7 stars or whatever. So they're looking at reviews. And Harrison just did an episode on social media. They want to see you on social media. Yeah. That's another place they establish value
I think
with
I
the
talked
provider.
One other, the podcast, but like my kids, even myself, I really don't use Google anymore. I'm using social media to search.
Yeah.
Google's becoming, which is actually fascinating. It's becoming less and less important for me. I mean, because I can go and I'll Google something, but then I'll get an AI response or something. And I'm like, this is worth more than a static, just, whatever result that it gives you. So
another one, I think relationship building, right, is another thing that's
social media,
which is a way of, social media is a way of doing that. Who bends down to pet their dog? Who sits on the ground? I mean, I can't tell you the countless number of people who said that was something that made them feel good. Is I sat down on the ground and, or I talked to their kid.
Or you actually even touched their pet.
I touched their pet.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, we heard that a lot.
Oh, we heard that a lot. Yeah. Like, you actually looked at my dog. And I'm like, what was happening in your other place of business that you went to?
Glass.
Like, I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and I've heard stories from friends too, taking their pets. Like one was even a euthanasia. And like, she said like the tech was great, like talked and like was sympathetic. The doctor literally walked in and like didn't say a single word, euthanized the pet and was like, okay, we're done.
Oh, wow.
And so again, like she's like, I'm never going back there because of the doctor experience. Like there's no relationship, no anything.
Yeah,
That's
relationships
tough.
really do build loyalty. I mean, that's what we've seen.
And that's where really social media plays such a huge part, because if you see somebody on social media and they do posts occasionally, you sort of get to know their personality, what they look like, how they talk,
We feel like you know them before you actually go.
It's not you're not making that first impression the moment they walk in the door. And that's why it's so powerful, I think, for people to use social media in that context to try and give the public at least a little bit of familiarity with the people they're going to be dealing with.
So if somebody's trying to figure out what their clients truly value, right? Like, are we missing the mark, or, are we doing a great job? Do we understand what clients value? I think there are a couple places they can look to determine that. Reviews, right? So read the reviews carefully. Look for patterns in the reviews to say.
Don't be scared of the reviews.
Don't be scared of the reviews. Look and see what people are saying that's good, right? Like, we never knew that there was such value behind opening the door until that's the main thing that gets mentioned on the reviews. It's like, oh, wow. Okay, they value the door being opened. Like, I wouldn't have put that on top on the list. I just wouldn't have to start with.
But if you think literally everywhere you go, nobody's opening a door.
Nobody does
it.
Nobody does it anymore.
And you're using those small differences to distinguish yourself from the competition. I think that's huge. And I think also another big thing to track are client referrals.
Yep.
because they are walking billboards for your services. If you get 0 client referrals, that could be a problem.
That could be a problem.
I mean, so if you're not, or, that's something we track that, the sources of new clients and stuff. And it's a big deal. I mean, so something to watch.
And then I would say like compliance patterns, right? Like, so what the clients are doing in the exam rooms, what are they following through with? What aren't they following through with? Like trying to establish, one, are the patterns similar, and are our processes across especially when you're starting to, once you have more, in my opinion, more than 3 doctors, like you can have discrepancies between processes and follow through. And so, looking for those things to see if there's any patterns there. Is there anything else you guys can think of that where they can kind of do some forensics?
Well, are you growing?
What'd you say? Are
you growing? I mean, is the practice growing? I mean, if the same number of doctors have been there for the previous 24 months, I mean, what do your top line numbers look like? I mean, how do you differentiate that based upon just price increases, the number of transactions? I mean, that's one way. It's one thing to look at for sure, for other reasons, but in that context for sure as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The last thing I would add before we close is that I think we talked, and I don't remember if we talked about this the last couple of podcasts or not, but I think that there's extreme value in not talking about cost, but worth and value of things.
Yes.
So I think that clients,
should be the last thing.
Yeah, their clients buy trust and clarity and confidence and emotional safety and convenience. Those are worth something, even though they don't have a dollar bill attached to them. And so talking about those things and with your staff and living those things, with your clients, I think that's a huge place that you can then see follow through or compliance increase.
Right.
Anybody have anything else to add?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. Well, we just encourage you guys to check out our website, vetpracticepro.com, to look at all of our courses and modules and workshops and consulting. All the
every
stuff
month we add something new to the library.
Yep. So there's downloadables there too. So to help you guys with anything and everything vet related, and then also join our mailing list if you're not part of our mailing list. And also our Circle community. So our Circle community is a great resource for you guys, for all vet professionals. Then you guys can get on there and vent, ask questions. We post some things on there. All of our podcasts are on there. So make sure to join that. And then, but that's all for today's episode of the Vet Practice Playbook. We hope you got a few plays to use for yourself or for your clinic. If you enjoyed this conversation, share it with others, leave us a review, and check out vetpracticepro.com for tools and courses that can take your clinic to the next level. See you guys next week.
See you.